If I've told you people once, I've told you 1,000 times. Unusual things from space never bring anything good. There are many different kinds of superhero. There's the individual who has their powers naturally and uses them to fight crime because they have a responsibility. Those who are shaped by a tragedy and decide to use powers, abilities, or even their natural skills to fight crime and prevent the tragedy from happening to other people. Well, there's the idea of the average guy or accidental superhero. An average person who gains a power and ability and, reluctantly, at least at first, uses these skills to help people, despite the effect it has on their natural life. In 1986, the Walt Disney Company tried to do a TV pilot along those lines, starring Scott Bakula, before he made it big as the star of Quantum Leap. Ladies, gentlemen, and would-be superheroes, I-Man. Our story begins at a junior football game where cab driver Jeffrey Wilder and his son Eric, along with their dog, see a truck from NASA crash and roll over. They immediately rush to the aid of the driver, but it turns out there's something very special inside this truck.
Canister! Canister! Backup truck! Very important! Must be saved!
Forget it, that baby's gonna blow any second.
No! Must be saved!
All right, okay. Just relax, pal. I'll get it. Eric, hold on to Nolan.
Hey, mister, you better get away from there!
I gotta be crazy. Eric, get back!
Well, our hero is blown up right at the start. That was a short movie. Anyone for Chinese?
Third-degree burns over 60% of his body. He's barely breathing.
Starting on a large bore saline. We'll need to intubate.
Give me 10 milligrams morphine, stat.
I need carboxyhemoglobin. Set up the oxygen, put him on 6 liters.
I'm checking the shot.
We're losing him. We're losing him.
He's coming back.
Where am I?
What am I doing here?
Dad, you okay? I'm so scared. I thought you might be dead.
Sir?
You can't just leave, sir. I think you should spend the night with us for observation. Get pathology down here. I want a printout now. Get us a bed. Make it ICU, specify 1-to-1 nursing, and get him back on full monitoring.
Doctor, he's leaving.
Call reception.
Reception, this is an emergency. Stop the man in the burned clothes and a boy in a football suit.
I lost Nolan. He ran away when the truck exploded.
Despite miraculously and impossibly recovering from his injuries and being able to simply just walk out of the hospital, also with his son showing absolutely no surprise or concern that this has happened, he decides to go out for a jog. Like you do after you've had a horrific accident that you've recovered from for no discernible reason.
Who is it?
We're from the Internal Security Agency. Does Jeffrey Wilder live here?
Hi, Lenny.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, mister.
I did not mean to do that.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do it.
Police are gonna want to talk to you, fella.
Didn't mean to do it. It was an accident. Let me go. How can you be standing up? I just shot you.
Mr. Wilder? We're with the Internal Security Agency. I'd like to ask you a few questions. About this afternoon.
Well, he may have been able to laugh off being burned, but being shot is a bit more serious, especially when the bullet wound disappears before his very eyes. So he's taken to the local NASA affiliate to be tested. Turns out the canister inside the truck had come from a space probe which had been lost for 7 years, and apparently captured a sample of an alien planet's atmosphere. And since, things come from space have unusual effects, as we've seen time and time again in the show, it's done this to him.
It's all in these files. We've had them for 2 days now, given them every conceivable test. Nothing we can see. Nothing shows up on any instrument. But nevertheless, whatever was in that canister has apparently altered Wilder's molecular structure. Meaning what? Meaning that as impossible as it sounds, Jeffrey Wilder has somehow developed the ability to instantaneously regenerate.
Sounds interesting.
Try to destroy his cells and just grow back, like a starfish or a lizard. Cut off its tail, just grows another one. Cut him, burn him, he heals instantly. Shoot him, he merely absorbs the bullet. His body's constantly repairing itself, constantly regenerating.
How do you explain your miraculous escape from the fire?
How do I know? Look, people have been thrown clear of explosions before it happens.
And the shooting?
The bullet was probably a blank.
It was real, Mr. Wilder, very real. This was taken when you were brought in the other day. It clearly shows a bullet lodged in your abdomen. This one was taken this morning. There is no trace of the bullet. Apparently, it was absorbed by your system.
This is crazy. I mean, what are you telling me? I'm just gonna keep on regenerating? I'm never gonna die.
So, apparently breathing an alien atmosphere makes you indestructible. I'll have to put that on the NASA recruitment posters. Join us and you can live forever! But what's a cab driver going to do with a power like this?
You can work for me.
The government?
We'll be working together, Mr. Wilder.
We'll pay you well and protect you.
Wait. This is all coming too fast. Protect me from what?
No one must know about your gift, Jeffrey.
Were it to leak, you would no longer have a private life. Every lunatic and weirdo out there would be out to prove what we already know, that you are truly indestructible. Governments, enemy governments, terrorist groups will court you or kidnap you in the hopes of utilizing your newfound ability. Think of the possibilities, Jeffrey. A man who cannot die. No police force can stop. No army can kill. No, Jeffrey. You will never be the same old Jeffrey Wilder again.
I don't know what's happened to me, or what's gonna happen, or what any of this means, but I do know I don't want to be your guinea pig. I pass.
Well, wouldn't you know it, just at that very moment, something is happening that's actually going to make him important to the plot.
Blue Leader, this is Escort. We're approaching the tunnel.
That's a Roger, Escort. We have you visual. You're at checkpoint Delta.
Chicken's in the coop. I'll pick her up on the other side. What'd they do? Stop for lunch?
Escort, get down there and take a look. Move it.
Roger. What's going on? How can a whole train disappear?
Somebody find out what's going on.
Gee, guys, if you're going to do something like this, maybe you consider having, say, more than one helicopter, like one at each end of the tunnel. Maybe even a separate train behind it to keep an eye on things. And actually give radios to the people on board the trains so they can report if anything unusual happens. But, this is the 80s and, well, scientific equipment basically exists to be stolen, so hey, what you gonna do?
These are prototypes of an experimental new weapon system. They're lasers. unlike any laser you've ever seen before. That steel armor plate is 3 inches thick. That's tank armor.
But things like that were only in the movies.
Not anymore.
This is their power source, a mini atomic generator.
Atomic?
Which makes these lasers 100 times more powerful than anything we've ever known. But there's a problem. It must be kept cool at all times with a constant supply of liquid helium.
So what's the problem?
We miscalculated. The helium is incompatible with its holding tank. In time, it leaks out, and the generator overheats. And when that happens...
If you're trying to scare me, you just did.
What you just saw in simulation takes 96 hours. That's 4 days. There's enough energy in that generator to vaporize a city.
So take it apart, find another holding tank.
That's exactly what we were going to do.
Ah, so it was being transported so it could be properly taken apart and examined and fixed. Unfortunately, it happened to get stolen. As Zaphod Beaverbrox would say, 10 out of 10 for style, but minus several million for good thinking. And who is it that stole the generator? All of the prototype laser guns? Oh, and the giant laser cannon capable of destroying an entire cliff? This guy.
Oliver Holbrook?
We thought of him as just another eccentric millionaire. Until now.
He's demanded $10 billion, or he's going to use those lasers. We don't know where or when.
Why don't you just tell him about the meltdown?
We did. He didn't believe us.
Well, what are you waiting for? Send in the army.
It wouldn't do us any good. Even if we could overcome the firepower of those lasers, Holbrook wouldn't surrender. He says he'll go so far as to blow up the generator himself, regardless of the consequences.
But there's one man. One man we think who can penetrate Holbrook's defenses and get back that generator. One man. A very special man.
Yeah, that's a perfect plan. Let's send the guy who has difficulty coping with stress, has absolutely no training, and could possibly get everyone involved on his team killed, even though he can't be, into a dangerous situation on a tremendously tight deadline with the possibility of failure resulting in the destruction of an entire city. What could possibly go wrong?
What was that? Eric? You okay? Let me see it.
Now the plan is fairly simple. Karen and Jeff are going to fly a small plane to the castle that the bad guys moved from the earth stone by stone. Because when you're super rich, what else are you going to do with your time and obscene amounts of money? And they're going to cut the engine to come in for a quiet landing, trek over country, sneak into the castle, find a generator, and transport it, somehow, to the coast where their other associate is waiting with a boat to drive it out into the middle of the bay and sink it. But the seawater will cool the generator enough to shut it down.
Everyone says I'm indestructible, but no one knows for how long. I mean, how do I know it won't be gone tomorrow or an hour from now or the instant before one of Holbrook's men takes a shot at me? How do I know it's not gone already?
I guess I never thought about it.
Well, I think about it. All the time.
We're close to the castle now. Time to shut down the engine. We'll glide the rest of the way.
Breathe.
Hey, hold on.
I don't know what's happening.
Hold on, we'll be down in a minute. Jeffrey, are you all right? Come on, Jeffrey. Are you all right?
I think so. I don't know what it was. I'm okay now. What?
Okay, let's go. We have to get up that hill. We don't have much time.
Now, those in the audience who are still awake may be wondering, why is it that a small amount of darkness had this effect on someone who was supposed to be indestructible? Well, for that we head back to the scientists for plot exposition!
Well, what does it mean? You're looking at 2 samples of Jeffrey Wilder's cellular tissue. The one on the left had been placed in the refrigerator last night.
Dead?
It didn't regenerate.
I don't understand.
Well, at first we thought it was the cold, so we checked. Temperature has nothing to do with it. It's the dark. Or more accurately, the absence of light.
Get to the point.
The point is, Arthur, that if Wilder is denied light for a prolonged period of time, he will die.
Prolonged? How prolonged?
I can't answer that.
Well, they make it to the compound with a few hours to spare, and what do you know? They get immediately captured! Gee, it's almost like actually sending somebody who had some training would have actually been a good idea.
You're an interesting young woman, one I would enjoy conversing with, but I'm afraid, my dear, it will not happen.
I may be of no value to you, but Jeffrey here is. He's got a special talent I know you'll find useful. Indispensable. Imagine, Mr. Holbrook, a soldier to serve you who cannot be killed.
Karen, what are you doing?
What do you mean, cannot be killed?
I know this is difficult to believe, but if you'll allow me, I will prove to you that Jeffrey Wilder is an indestructible man.
How?
I'll need one of the lasers.
Now, wait a minute.
You know, I'm beginning to like you.
Mr. Holbrook, you can't be serious.
Give me your laser.
Karen? Karen?
Just because I shot you.
Just because you shot me?
What's the big deal? You're an indestructible man, aren't you?
I told you it could stop at any time. How could you be certain when you shot me that I was still indestructible?
That was the chance I had to take.
You and Bogosian. Everyone takes a chance on my life. Why don't I just tattoo a bullseye on my chest?
Put your voice down. I didn't take that kind of chance with your life. I'm an expert shot. I knew I wouldn't hit anything vital.
Everything I've got is vital to me.
Look, Jeffrey, I did what I had to do. Holbrook was going to have us killed. Well, me anyway. Now we've got to find a way out of here. Time is running out. We've got to get to that generator. Trust me, Jeffrey. Please.
Now, the gentleman holding them is super rich and obsessed with military conquest and also, what's the word? Oh yeah, completely bonkers. Even though his demands are met and the funding is placed within his Swiss bank account, he decides he's going to blow up the bridge in San Francisco just because it's there. Well, in their attempts to stop him, they end up stuck inside an elevator with the power turned off. And you know what happens to Captain Suck when he's exposed to darkness. Fortunately, there's someone looking out for them. Remember Eric, his 8-year-old son? He's there in the mansion. He not only managed to sneak on board the small plane and remain completely undetected, but he traveled across country on his own without a map, managed to infiltrate the mansion without being seen by any of the heavily armed guards, and has found the control panel for all of the doors, windows, and cameras within the building. Gee, maybe they should have sent him instead of his father.
Well, if we can get out through the roof hatch, we can climb to the next floor. What are you... Oh, no, not again. Jeffrey.
So weak. plane.
Hurry, in here!
I'm feeling better. Whoever was is passing, definitely passing. Just like before, I don't understand
We'll
this.
worry about it later. That door isn't going to keep them out for long.
Don't worry about it. Watch this.
Who are you?
Eric?
That steel door will slow them down.
How'd you get here?
Oh no, they're here already. You can be mad at me later. Right now, I think we better get out of here. There's a fire escape outside the window. We can climb down to the garden.
Can you make it?
I think so.
When this is over, I think you should have a complete physical.
I was perfectly all right before I became indestructible.
Come on, let's go.
You know, Jeff, just because you're indestructible doesn't mean you have to be a clumsy doof all the time.
There's no lock.
That doesn't make sense.
Okay. While I open the gate, you and Eric run for the copter.
Yes, Jeff, that was a much better idea than simply taking off your leather jacket and using that to help insulate you from the electric shock, instead of just grabbing it, indestructible or not, with your bare hand. And now we approach, mercifully, the climax. Using the helicopter, they manage to catch up with the truck, and after a great deal of faffing around with rope ladders and the like, they finally manage to get Jeff into the cab of the truck with the bad guys shooting at it with their lasers.
The generator's starting to go. You'll never make the boat. When you get to the top of the hill, aim it over the side and jump clear.
You'll never make it without a driver.
There's no other way.
Yes, there is.
Oh, what a beautiful dive! Let's go to the judges. England, 10. America, 10. France, 10. Oh, and an 8.5 from the Russian judge. The vehicle is lifted out of the water after several hours, of course, but that's several hours where he's been in almost complete darkness.
Boy, do I have a bad taste in my mouth.
Nolan!
Hey, boy.
Sorry I'm late. I was arranging with Mr. Holbrook's arraignment. Oh, and I had to pick up someone.
Where'd you find him?
Oh, the government has its resources.
What happened to the bandage on his ear?
It was half off and dirty when I found him. Anyway, whatever the problem was, his ear is fine now. It's perfectly healed. Hey, see for yourself.
Dad, you thinking what I'm thinking?
Yeah. But let's not think about it.
Not think about what? The fact that you're hopelessly inept as a secret agent? That your son did a better job and he's 8 years old? That if the dog is indestructible too, he could probably be a better partner than you were? So that was I-Man. How was it? Sloppy. The plot is completely nonsensical. The whole idea of the stone lasers seems to be just an excuse to bring this guy into the action. The bad guy's plan makes absolutely no sense beyond, I'm rich and bored and I want to be the next Hannibal. His privately trained army, even armed with immensely powerful laser guns, can't detect the presence of an 8-year-old kid messing around with all the controls for the shutters and doors on the place. They can't hit something a short distance away you could probably hit with a freaking slingshot. And he deliberately ignores the fact that in a few hours the whole thing is going to go kablooey. Despite all the hoopla about his place being impregnable, highly trained forces, powerful lasers, an army center would be immediately slaughtered. Not only do our two heroes actually manage to make it into the building before they get captured, but the 8-year-old kid is able to outsmart them. I don't think these people could successfully take over a Walmart, let alone the United States. And never mind the hero being outshone by an 8-year-old. His powers suck. Think about it. He can still be physically hurt, like he can feel pain if he breaks his neck or gets shot. That weird spacey music as he regenerates gets incredibly annoying. And if he isn't exposed to light continuously, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, he will begin to die. Not just lose his powers and become a normal person again. No. Actively start to die. Worst superpowers ever. So for good actors having nothing to work with, a completely nonsensical plot mushed together just to try to make this thing make some semblance of sense, a really stupid villain, and the suckiest superpower ever, this gets 1/2 Maple Leaf out of 5. And that is only because Scott Bakula is actually trying his best, despite the fact that he has shit to work with. I'm Sam Canadian Critic, and I'll see you next time.
This is over. I think you should have a complete physical.
I was perfectly all right before I became indestructible.